Welcome back to Speducation. I'm your host, Brandon Reed, and as always, if this is your first time to the channel, a special welcome to you. Well, it's a new week, and we have a new lesson. So, what are we going to be learning about? Today's lesson, timelines, initials, and testing. So, special education loves a lot of different things. It loves acronyms, but do you know what special education loves even more than acronyms? Go ahead, take a guess. Timelines. That's right. Now, okay, yes, special education loves students too, because without students in special ed, we wouldn't have special education jobs. So we do love our students. But special education loves timelines because they keep us consistent and they keep us structured. Now, there are a lot of different timelines in special education. So where do we start? Well, it's best to start from the beginning. When we're talking about timelines, we should start from the very beginning, which is the initial case conference. So whenever a parent requests special ed testing for their child. So what is the timeline for an initial case conference? Well, in Indiana, the timeline for conducting testing and determining the eligibility for special education services for a student is 50 days. So when the parent makes a request for the testing of their child, there are certain things that have to happen. Okay. The first is that we have to get parent approval, but then we do testing, parent surveys, teacher surveys, we analyze that data, we write the reports, we schedule the conference, and then we hold the initial case conference to actually determine whether or not the data supports giving the student special ed services or not. Now, within that 50-day timeline, there is, want to guess? That's right, another timeline. The notice of initial evaluation of reevaluation must be provided to the parent within 10 school days of the date the school receives the parent's request for an evaluation. That means that when a parent makes a request, then the school has 10 days to get everything situated so that they can start on that 50-day timeline. Now, normally, depending on the school, some schools may say it's 60 days, some schools may say it's 40 days, but here in Indiana, it's a 50-day timeline. And as soon as a parent tells us, hey, we would like to request testing, then it's up to the school to get that written approval for the testing within 10 days. Now, you're probably wondering, well, schools can operate pretty fast on that timeline. 50 days is the maximum amount of days that a school has. But can it be done sooner? I mean, like, less than 50 days, like 40 or 30 or 20? Well, actually, it can. In special education, there are timelines that are expedited. What is that? Well, if you make a request for an initial evaluation of your child during the time period in which your child is subjected to suspension, expulsion, or placement in an IAES, the evaluation must be conducted and the case conference committee must convene within 20 school days of the date you provided written consent for the evaluation. However, those times where it's an expedited evaluation process or timeline are very rare because normally, if a student is coming up on expulsion or they're getting into a lot of trouble, the school will take preemptive measures. They'll try to figure out what the problem is. They'll do this through interventions, through functional behavior assessments, through behavioral intervention plans. So before the student gets to the expulsion phase, obviously the parent and the school are going to be working together closely. And one of the things that they may consider is that maybe the student's behavior is related to some sort of disability. But whenever those cases do arise, expedited timelines can be beneficial. Now, what about some of the other timelines? Because believe me, these are just a few of the timelines related to special ed. Well, for all the others, you're going to have to tune in next week to find out. Now, if you liked what you saw, you learned something new, or you're new to the channel, please click that like button. And if you want updates on future videos, feel free to click the subscribe button and ring the bell for updates on future videos. And as always, if you have a particular topic in special education that you want me to cover, or you have a specific question that you want me to answer, please drop a line in the comments section and I would be happy to help. And until next time, class dismissed.